If you want to write a book and make at least $100,000 in residual income, I'm going to show you specifically how to do that in this video. Now, when it comes to book writing, so many people want to write a book and so many people are delusional in terms of their story of how hard it is and what it takes and things like that. And I'm not going to say that it's just easy and simple and you snap your fingers and it's done. I'm not saying that at all. But there are people that I love even, that have wanted to write books for 5, 10, 20, even 23 years. They still have not written one book yet because of how difficult they've made it to be in their mind. Now, I will say this, that is one of the first hurdles to overcome, but by the end of this, I'm going to show you how that hurdle, it doesn't even exist. I'm going to show you how to eliminate it totally. But when it comes to making at least $100,000 in residual income, and here's the thing, I'm not trying to be insulting or anything like that. There are some people that they don't know what residual income is. Residual means that something that happens over and over and over again. That's residual income. So I'm talking about not just writing a book, but a book that makes you at least $100,000 over and over and over again in residual income. Now, years ago, there's somebody named Stephen Covey. He wrote a book on the 7 habits of highly effective people. Now, when that book was written, social media, YouTube, like podcasts, things were not as prevalent as they are right now. And there was a lot of people that had money, but they really wanted to get access to the ultra, like people that are like really doing phenomenal. Like they are positive, they are productive, like they get things done, they don't waste time, they live great lives, and they have this perceived life that a lot of people want to know, like what do they do? And they focus on their habits, because now or 20 years from now or 100 years from now or 100 years in the past, here's the reality. We don't determine our futures. We determine our habits, and our habits determine our future. And that's why so many people were very intrigued by what are the habits of the highly effective people. And so what Stephen Covey did, and this is something that you can do too on whatever your topic is, he went around and he interviewed, like, I won't say all because it wasn't all, but it was a lot of highly successful people, and just figured out what are all of them saying and what are the themes. And what he did is he took like all of these different themes from all kind of successful people from all kind of genres, and he came up with these 7 habits that all of the highly successful people they have. He put it in a book, and it's like Stephen Covey solved a big problem that people have. And that's one of the things that I want to encourage you to do in terms of getting to that $100,000 residual income mark, is by solving a problem, just like Stephen Covey. And again, I'm not saying just like Stephen Covey, like it has to be like 7 habits of whatever highly successful. I'm not saying that, that's just an example. Like it can be whatever people really want to know, because people spend money to get out of pain. We all do things for one or two reasons, either pain or pleasure. But people are 10 times more likely to do something when they're in pain than when they just want to experience pleasure. And so it's like when you figure out what is a pain that people are in, that they are actively looking for a solution in, because people are in pain all the time, but for some people it just don't hurt bad enough to do anything about it. Those are not the pains that you want to solve. You want to find like what is a pain point that people actually have, that they're looking for a solution that they actually want to get out of. Now, hear me out. I'm not saying find a pain point and manipulate people or use people, or like something negative. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying find a pain point that people have and genuinely help them with it. And here's the thing, it might be a pain that you are passionate about, but you're not the expert on. You might not really have all the solutions to, but you can do just like Stephen Covey, and you can interview people and find out what's the theme here. Or you can do like Napoleon Hill. You can interview people and just put all of their responses in a book. If you've ever heard of the book, which is like really, really popular for the last 50 something years, is Think and Grow Rich. If you read that book, you understand that all of those are just transcripts of all of the people that Napoleon Hill interviewed. That wasn't his content, that wasn't his information. But he became smarter by way of interviewing all these people. That was solving a problem. I encourage you, one of the things that you can do is figure out what is a pain point that people have and give them a solution. I'm not sure where you grew up, but when I grew up, I played outside, trees, all that kind of thing, and there was times I got a splinter on my finger. And it's like when you have a splinter in your finger and when it's deep enough, The only thing that you want is to get that splinter out of your finger or out of your hand or out of your leg, wherever it is. You just want that splinter out. And so for you, you can be somebody where you are a splinter remover. Whatever pain that somebody has in their life, it's like you can focus specifically on whatever that one pain is. And here's the thing that I want to encourage you to do. Focus on one pain. Like, don't focus on all pains, because if you become a specialist in all pains and back pain and neck pain and emotional pain and money pain, then you become somebody who's hurting yourself and people don't see you as somebody who's trustworthy. But when you become somebody who's specific in whatever pain you help people out of, that's when people can refer you to other people that talk to them about their pain, because you become the person that people think about first. And when you think about Napoleon Hill, when you think about Stephen Covey with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, those are very specific pain points that both of them serve, and they're totally different. So one way that you can actually make a lot of money is not just find a pain point, but find a pain point that people are actively looking for, and then you want to find people that actually have money to pay you. Because there's a lot of people that's in pain, they're actively looking for a solution, but they don't have the money to pay you. And here's the thing, I am not saying just forget about them, don't help people just because they don't have money. I'm not saying it at all. However, I'm saying this, that there are certain things that if you don't have for your own self, you can't help anybody. I don't know where you are, if you like Steve Harvey, if you don't, and it really doesn't matter. But one thing that he said that's so true, he said the best thing you could do for poor people is to not become one of them. That is true. So even though I'm a person with compassion, like I love helping people and I pretty much help anybody, however, I'm not going to put myself in a position to become impoverished and put me and my family at risk because I'm trying to help somebody else who does not have. Now, there's ways that I help people who don't have all the time, but I'm just communicating a message to you that this is one of those areas where you don't want to feel guilty because somebody does not have the money to pay you what it is that you're actually demanding. And here's the other reality. It's never about price, it's always about value. So if you're offering something that has a lot of value and people are talking about they can't afford it, it's only because they don't see the value. Because whenever somebody sees the value, the money is never the issue. Like for instance, if you know somebody who's aware of how much a Rolls Royce costs, and you tell them like, listen, I have the title here, it's clean, it's not stolen, none of those kind of things, I'll sell you this brand new Rolls Royce for $40,000. But here's the reality. I'm only giving you 3 weeks to get the money. If somebody understands the value of a Rolls Royce, they're going to get you that money within that time and probably sooner, because they understand that a brand new Rolls Royce could be $500,000, $1 million, even $2 million, depending on what kind it is. So bare minimum, if they can buy something from you for $40,000 that's worth $1 million, they can sell it for $100,000, and the person on the other side that made the purchase feel like they got a steal of a lifetime, and they still made $60,000. Why? Because they see the value. So whenever you create something, regardless to how much you want to charge, if people are communicating that it costs too much, it's only because they don't see the value. And so again, the second step in this process is finding people who actually have money to pay you. Now, how do you connect all this to a book? You connect this to a book because whatever the topic is, there's typically other people who offer the same solution as you do or somebody else does. But what separates other people from everybody else is those that write a book on the topic. Now, even though there's other people that wrote books on a topic, there's other people that have written books on the same area of expertise, if you will, the group of people really shrinks when it comes to those that have written a book on a topic. So you still stand out even among everybody else by writing a book on the same topic that you actually are passionate about helping people about. Because it's like when you write a book on it, number one, it does one of two things. It not only sets you apart, but it gives you the ability to convince other people. And it's not about you convincing, but I'm just using that word, but it gives you the ability to convince somebody else that you are the person for the job by them spending time with you, because immersion causes conversion. So the more that we spend time with something, the more that we're willing to convert into whatever that immersive situation is. Why do I even say that? Because when somebody reads a book, if they take their time to read a book and they get to the end of that book, as long as that the book didn't offend them or something like that, that person is typically somebody who's now more suggestive to be persuaded by this other person to do something that they recommend. So if somebody reads your book, they are much more likely to go with you because they've spent time with you, they learned about you, they feel like a part of them knows you just through your book, even though you never had any physical interaction with them. They don't feel the same way about somebody else who does not have a book. But because you have a book, and for them it's like it's a lot low risk of interacting with you from your book than it is like face-to-face and buying something that require face-to-face time, because again, we live in this society where there's a deficiency of trust. People really don't trust people. And so somebody getting on the phone with somebody or even showing up to a virtual event, a lot of times it takes a lot for that to actually happen. But somebody will buy your book a lot faster than they'll get on a virtual event, or get on a one-on-one call. And so it's just an opportunity for people to actually pre-sale people on what they're selling on the back end a lot faster. And it's like, if you don't have that on the front end, then it's gonna be just a lot harder for you to actually make money. Again, I don't know where you are in terms of high ticket or if you ever bought something or things like that. Like, I hear a lot of people talk about high ticket, but I really focus more on premium value. And I say high ticket versus premium value because when you think about people that sell high ticket, now I sell high ticket, quote unquote, by definition, if you will, but I don't focus mine so much on high ticket as I do premium, because when you even think about high ticket focuses more on what the person that's selling it is going to get, not so much the person that's investing in it. Premium value is more focused on what the person who's investing in it is going to get, not so much the person who's delivering the service. And I'm all about putting service above self. So that's why I don't really focus on high ticket, but again, depending on the language that you use, I'm just giving you a clear definition of where I'm going with this. But when you think about somebody that sells something for, let's say, $10,000, and again, if you've purchased high ticket offers, like that's very, very common and people do it all the time. But let's say, you're new to high ticket, you never really heard of it, you never heard somebody sell something, whatever. So we're just gonna say like $10,000. You sell something for $10,000. And let's say that you sold 300 books in the course of a year. Now, I'm not saying that that's good or bad, but it just is. And in your book, you give people a way to go deeper with you because now you're the author of the book and they want to go deeper with you. And out of 300 people that read your book, I would bet a large sum of money that if you had something to go deeper with you that really was valuable to them, it solved this pain point, it gave them the ability to believe that it's really possible for them to not only get out of this pain, but to live the lifestyle that they desire. Out of 300 people, I would bet a large sum of money that you can at least get 11. You can at least get 11 people to take you up on that $10,000 offer. Now, 11 times $10,000 is $110,000. Now again, that's just a simple example, but people do this every single day. And here's the thing, you don't have to sell millions and millions of copies of books to actually do that. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do that either, because you can. But what I'm saying is, sometimes when people think about how can you make money from books, they immediately think about how many books you have to sell. And the reality is this, it's not about how much you sell the book for and how many books you sell, but it's more so how much value do you put in the book for the person that's reading it to feel like they actually got a discount by, regardless of how much money they pay for your book, by investing in this book and investing their time in the exchange they got. Because there's something that's called the law of reciprocation. And it's what that means is when you give somebody something, they feel indebted to give you something back. And even though people buy books, when people buy a book that changes their life, there's a part of them, just based on the law of reciprocation, that feels like they owe this author something, like they have to give him or her something more, because what they gave them through that book is just way more than any amount of money they could have ever spent on any book. And so what happens is when the law of reciprocation is at work and people really feel like they got a lot of value from that book, what happens is whatever program you have on the back end of it, people will buy that program based on the law of reciprocation, and they will buy it because they're like, listen, if I got this much value from the book, imagine how much value I'm going to get from this person's program, or spending 6 months with them, or 12 months, like whatever the case may be. But this is something that people are doing every single day. Some of them you don't know, I don't know, and some of them are not popular at all, but they're living these quiet, phenomenal lives of fulfillment, and they're helping deep people at like a very deep connection, and they're micro famous amongst a small group. And it's not about everybody knowing their name, it's about the right people knowing their name. And so this is specifically the step-by-step process on how you can make $100,000 in residual income from writing a book. But here's the best part. When it comes to writing a book, you don't even have to write the book. Now, hear me out. I'm not talking about AI, because there's a lot of people that are trying to get AI to write books and things like that. And what they don't realize is that there's a lot of platforms they want to put their book on, and they're banning these AI books because that's artificial book, even though that's artificial intelligence writing your book. And these books are being banned. So like that's a no-no. So this is not that at all. And here's the other thing. You don't want to be a person where you write a book and you use ChatGPT or something else to write this book, and somebody else put the same exact prompts in, and somebody else reads somebody else's book, they read yours, and it's like, man, this is the same thing. And guess what? Both of you are going to be disqualified. You know, it's not you first because you wrote the book, or that person wrote the book. Both of you are going to be disqualified because somebody understands that you took the lazy way out and you just got AI to write this, and you didn't really write this for me, you wrote this for you. What I'm saying is this. I'm offering 10 people the opportunity for me to actually write the book for them. I'm not using ChatGPT, Claude, or like no AI to write it. I am writing this myself from my own mind based on whatever topic that is of interest to you, and the few things that I'm going to ask you from a question perspective to ensure that I can actually serve you at the highest level. And this comes across not in my voice, but in yours, because this is going to be your book. And I would tell you, there are a lot of famous people that have had people write books for them, and you'll never know it because it's specifically in that person's voice. But also, when you think about the name that's on the title of that book, it's that person's name, it's that person's face, it's that person's everything, that like their brand. And that's going to be the same thing for you. So if you have any interest, like if you have an interest in not only making $100,000 in residual income from a book, but if you also have an interest in speeding up the process and having me write the book for you, I want you to click on the link below and fill out the application. Get details from that page and fill out the application just to see if this is a good fit, because this is not a good fit for everybody. Everybody's not going to be accepted. This is for a very small group. But if you are one of the lucky 10 people that are selected, I really look forward to working with you. I look forward to not only writing your book, but having the most input from you that I possibly can to ensure that this book is actually in the language you want it written in, and in your voice, your tone, and from your perspective. And I look forward to pulling back the curtain and showing you what a lot of small authors know about how you can actually take this book and make a lot of money from it and get that small book to finance whatever lifestyle that you desire. But if you have any interest at all in, again, making $100,000 minimum in residual income, that a book that I actually write for you, I want to invite you to click on the link in the description below, fill out the application. And if you are a good fit and if you actually are accepted, I look forward to being on a call with you, talking about your book and taking what it is that you have and allowing you to experience freedom, finances, and fulfillment at the highest level by creating a phenomenal impact and income in the process.